got all the good things that small-town America offers, along with all the problems of the big city. Our towns and our communities have fallen victim to our young, alcohol-impaired drivers.
Developing positive community attitudes for non-tolerance of underage drinking is paramount.
When a driver's been drinking, he gets in a vehicle, it's like loading a gun. He's playing Russian roulette with my life, your life, and everybody else's life on the road.
These are the same roads and highways that our families, friends, and neighbors use every day, rain or shine.
Like you, as a member of the community, we cannot, I will not tolerate drinking and driving among our youth or adult population.
Quality of life in Lapeer County in the recent years have been threatened. There's many people moving in search of the dream. They're finding out to pay for that dream, they have to work 2, possibly 3 jobs in the family. Consequently, they don't have the time to spend with the children. The schools, the police, the churches, we can't raise those children. It's still the responsibility of the parents.
The people of Delta County are concerned, aware that the kids are using and abusing alcohol. They're getting killed and injured, coming home drunk. Parents have to deal with it, confront it, and enforce it. We get calls from concerned parents, I need help, but many times these are the same parents who enable their children to use.
Gladwin County does have a drinking problem, and we are finding this at a younger and younger age. Often parents think that since their child is no longer in elementary school, that they do not need supervision. They also think that since their child is in junior high, that they can be left unattended, and that they're old enough to take care of themselves.
You guys want to get crazy?
Often they have friends over.
Hey, I heard the stuff in the bottle is more powerful than the stuff in the can. Yeah, I did too.
It's younger and younger use.
Deer hunting and alcohol are ingrained in our culture. And when the kids go hunting with Dad to deer camp, they get to see the effects and the use of alcohol firsthand.
I'll raise you. 25. I told you, shut up, ask your dad.
When you get your buck, kid.
That's a good idea. Okay.
Alcohol use and abuse for the adults in Marquette County relate right back to the underage drinking problem that we have here. And the alcohol abuse problem is the #1 problem in Marquette County. It relates back to traffic safety, crime, spouse abuse, and many of the other problems that we see here.
Washtenaw County's got a very high concentration of kids that are away from home maybe for the first time. They come out of high school. For some of them, they're already encultured into alcohol use. For others, maybe they're experimenting for the first time. They're going through a period that's known as self-sufficiency. Away from mom and dad, some of them aren't being very self-sufficient. We all know that booze and college campuses has always been a problem. Here in Washtenaw County, we've also got 12 high schools.
Recent alcohol surveys in our schools indicate an alarming attitude towards alcohol. There's also an alarming use of alcohol by our students. 75% of our 5th and 6th graders indicate a positive non-use of alcohol.
In Michigan, how old do you have to be before you can drink alcohol?
21.
Are any of you going to use alcohol before you're 21?
No.
No.
By the time they graduate from the 12th grade, 75% of the students indicate that they are using alcohol on a weekly basis. This is a complete reversal in attitude, choice, and values. We must do something to prevent this from happening now.
We had Mr. Rogers and Leave It to Beaver when we were young. Kids nowadays, they've got Beavis and Butthead, Wayne's World, Party On Dude. I mean, things that are just really different out there now.
No, kiss back, come on!
The kids are drinking these days, television, movies, they seem to be growing up so much faster. I don't know. I drank when I was in high school and I turned out okay.
Alcohol's no big deal.
Yeah, you did it when you were a kid.
Yeah, what about that?
What is it? What are you going to tell me? No. No big deal. Way to go. Thanks.
I mean, what is the big deal anyway? I mean, my parents drink, my friends drink. I mean, there's no big deal. We're not hurting anybody else but ourselves.
Yep. Practically everyone we know drinks.
I know. I mean, who cares?
Drinking? What's the big deal?
Our parents know we drink.
My parents bought me a cake for my graduation party.
Yeah, it was a good party.
It's just not gonna happen to me.
Not gonna happen. Everybody drinks.
If we'd known then what we know now, we would have been better prepared. I could have talked to parents of other 12th graders and to counselors.
Gotten involved in junior high. Found out what we could do to prevent our child from getting involved with alcohol and other stuff.
Would have prevented a lot of pain, suffering.
A lot of kids are drinking and driving. And because we have limited funds for law enforcement, the MIP, which is the minor in possession, takes a low priority. The police are just not able to do it by themselves. And it's more than drinking and driving. The effect on our community is obvious. We have crime, and with that crime, we have teenagers breaking into seasonal cabins. They're stealing, and then they sell this stuff and use the money for pocket change. The pregnancy rate is up also. And with this, we see young girls dropping out of school in the 10th and the 11th grade, or eventually switching to alternative education.
The pro-use attitude of older kids influences the attitudes of younger kids. This is because their parents don't take a stand. They don't realize the importance of a good role model.
I didn't realize the broad scope of the answer to the problem, that really the entire community needs to be involved, from business leaders to parents, educators, the kids themselves. They all have a large stake and a large part to play in the solution. It is our future. You know, the kids are our future. Because we have so few industries here, that if any one of them starts to cut back, the mines shut down, it's very easy for the adults then to turn to alcohol to console themselves or whatever. The kids see that, they feel the stress. It's a big cycle. The longer you delay the onset of use, the lower your abuse rate is going to be.
And today, we're going to talk about some ways to say no. Is everybody ready to learn how to say no?
Yeah.
Kids today are encultured into alcohol use at an early age, and they see adult norms and use. But you know, if you really talk to the kids, they come up with the answers themselves, the same answers that we've already said, that we have to change. Society has to change, we have to change. Law enforcement, advertising, working together, the community, the parents, being there and being strict.
So how have you approached the problem in Marquette?
Before I tell you what worked, let me tell you what didn't work. When I first went out and started recruiting people to work on this project, I found that those who were willing to be involved and willing to be a part of the solution were already part of another group. Maybe the group was a little broader, alcohol and other drugs, or a little narrower. But I was out trying to recruit people to work on Project MCTV specifically. I was reinventing the wheel. We found that if I could attach myself to these other groups, we could join alliances. We formed strong community bonds to address the youth alcohol and youth impaired driving issue here.
Good intentions aren't always good prevention. A couple of years ago, a group of enraged citizens called a meeting. The meeting took place here. They wanted to address the sheriff, the police chiefs, the hotel-motel people. Their concern was their kids, their students, could walk right in and rent a hotel-motel room. Boom, and a big party would ensue. And then what happened? Me, the one police officer, my one badge, my one handcuffs, my one police car, I show up. There's 80 kids fleeing from a hotel room. Boom, what have I done? I've just pushed 80 drunk kids into cars so they can flee. Now, am I part of the problem or part of the solution? When this grant took place, I revisited that issue. Since I'm from the Sheriff's Department and represent a county-wide program, I was able to bring law enforcement to the table. I had already become visible in the area high schools and was very involved with MAD and the Hotel Motel Association. Through one of our initiatives, a local coalition in Milan was able to offer the kids a healthy, safe alternative, a teen center where the kids could hang out and have fun. We need to get the schools, the hotels, and motels together sharing information. Collectively, we developed a plan. A letter was sent to all of the schools under all 3 pens.
We have a short message on how to have a safe graduation.
We have worked closely with the Washtenaw County Hotel and Motel Association, with your parents, and with other significant law enforcement groups to make sure that your graduation parties are safe and sane.
Our kids got the message. Don't get a room. A letter was sent to all the hotel and motels with all the dates and places of the proms and graduations. We were drawing a line, and together we're standing on that line. We didn't have to go to one hotel or motel graduation party. And this year, it'll happen again. Thursday morning, we're at the meeting. The letters are put together. They've gone out. And when the grant's all over, this initiative will continue on its own.
I want to thank each one of you for being here tonight. You're here because you care.
Parental apathy is also a concern. We planned a big community-wide meeting and only 6 people showed up. When you say come and learn about alcohol and kids, they don't want to go. The word alcohol? Nope, don't want to go. And a lot of times that's because of a parent's own use. We do have a problem with alcohol in our community, with parents and adults and kids. But moreover, we have a community problem. Apathy.
At first I tried to do too much. We'll have to do that ourselves because nobody really knows the material like we do. I didn't allow the volunteers to have ownership of the coalition. And if they don't think they have ownership, they're not going to come to the meetings, they're not going to participate.
Attitude toward drinking in Escanaba, starting with the parents.
This is the hardest job I've ever done. Working the road, you go out, you write your tickets, you arrest your people, you turn it over to the courts, and they figure out what to do. With this job, I have to consider everything. It's not only the enforcement on one side of the spectrum, but it's also the education to prevent the need for further law enforcement on the other side of the spectrum. It's a real challenge.
The drunk driver did not even see the stop sign.
I guess there's been a lot of trouble up at the high school with the kids drinking and causing problems. I told my kids if they ever get involved, their dad will kill them. I just pray they get through high school.
Hey, we got some white stuff, we got the Sunny D, we got some beer.
Talk to your children constantly. It has to be an ongoing, everyday thing. I never dreamt that I would be burying him at the age of 15 because he was drinking and being with others that were drinking and driving.
We formed a coalition, and together we are making people of our communities aware of the problem of underage drinking.
Each generation of youth that comes along is going to experiment, or going to try to experiment, until we get to the parents, until we get to them at an earlier age.
I think I'd like to see the community have more events for kids to do to keep them busy and keep them off the streets.
Let's get some parents involved with the kids so that they're right there with them, showing them, you know, we can have fun like this too. We don't need to be, we can set the example and still have a good time without having the alcoholic beverages.
The whole community has to be involved to provide more activities for our young people.
I agree with you. If we could expand on it, I'd like to see us even move more towards junior high age students and have some substance-free alternatives.
It's changing an attitude is what we're trying to do, and we're just going to have to keep hammering at that from all aspects.
With the advisory board and the steering committee, we developed SAFETY, which is an acronym for supporting an alcohol-free environment for our teens and youth. Our mission began with awareness in the schools.
With your report card today, I want you to take home one of these safety tag-alongs. Adult apathy and community awareness were approached as one issue. Safety designed report card tag-alongs that go home with junior and senior high students 4 times a year, giving a different message about youthful drinking. We wanted to make parents aware of the evolving trend of underage alcohol use and the request of the Gladwin Coalition for their involvement and enforcement at home and in the community-wide effort.
Pay attention to it.
I could do better in math.
What's this thing? What's this?
This is something they gave us at school. It's safety. They don't want like kids under 21 drinking alcohol and beer and stuff like that.
What do you think?
SAFETY has also initiated Super Sunday. We work closely with the clergy of our communities. They can praise the power of positive choice, empowering parents and adults to place themselves between their children and the use of alcohol.
We're gathered here today. It's a very important day in our county. It's Super Sunday. I'm thankful for our Gladwin County Safety Committee, for they have challenged all the churches of our county to make this a day that we emphasize and warn our young people, indeed all of us, about the dangers, the problems of alcohol use, especially by minors.
In order to deliver our message to the rest of our adult population, Safety reached out to the business community. A graphic of the Safety mission statement was printed up and personally delivered by members of the coalition to businesses in the county, requesting prominent display and, more importantly, their continued involvement and support.
I know there are kids at school that are experimenting with alcohol and fooling around and sexually active, but not my kids. They're good kids. They know better.
Some of my friends' parents allow them to toast champagne on special occasions. We have a new program in my community that says 0 alcohol tolerance for anyone under the age of 21. What should I do?
When this program began, and I started to network with the existing coalitions in our county, that's when I realized the missing piece was a unified law enforcement component. So we developed our alcohol enforcement team, and this team supports all the existing coalitions within our county. We brought together 10 police departments, plus the state police, and we formed a multi-agency enforcement team. I went out and bought them magnetic signs that read Alcohol Enforcement Team, and I stuck them on the sides of their police cars. My boss took them all into a room, said, raise your right hand, and they become special deputies.
Hi, sir. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
So now I have Chelsea police officers that can work in Ypsilanti while involved in this project because they're deputy sheriffs. I took a blue shirt and I put them with a brown shirt. We stuck them in a white car and I sent them off to a different community. Everybody cares. We're all on the same team together to deal with the alcohol issues. These are our kids and it's our problem, and we'll go wherever we need to help address the issues. And the support from the law enforcement people at this point has been unbelievable. I have monthly law enforcement meetings where even chiefs show up.
Hi, this is Mylan.
I have small communities where all of a sudden an event comes to town and it's a youth event. There's no way that they can muster the resources to effectively combat the impact of this event. So we send the team, as they call it. We need to send the team into Milan tonight because there's a jam-up rock concert coming to town, and we send a major police effort down there. So a big part of this project has been the law enforcement coalition.
It's not all right at all for her, and it's not all right for her friends. But I can't control what her friends do. All I can do is help her with her attitude and hope that it has a good effect on her friends' attitudes.
My brother was killed by a drunk driver last week. He died there on the road. So did a part of me.
I view law enforcement, education, and prevention as one step in the fight against the use of alcohol by our youth. In Lapeer County, I work with a core group which consists of members from the coalitions from the different school districts. We have one mission, and that is to develop community strategies of continuing zero tolerance of alcohol use by our youth.
And that would be very effective.
If we can educate our parents and our kids, and I'd say our parents first, law enforcement would be a last resort. There are not bad kids in alcohol, there are just kids in alcohol. We go to parties, we break up the parties and issue MIP tickets. It's a joke, it's a real joke.
Cops are here! Hey, cops are here!
But when it comes to a serious crash, injury, or death, well, it's not going to happen to me. It's always the other guy. Somehow, we have to stop that thought.
Are you okay?
Yes, I am.
If they saw a real accident, they change their attitudes.
Yes,
Their attitude about drinking and driving.
How's your head? You dizzy at all?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. How's the girl in the vehicle?
They're checking her out right now. Let you know when
She wouldn't stop. She just right on through the intersection.
you don't have any neck or back pain.
No, seriously.
Hands feel all right?
Nope. Chest pain or anything like that. I tried to avoid her, and we had the impact. My bag went off, and this is it.
And take your blood pressures to make sure everything's all right.
You go up to a house, you knock on the door, waking their folks, delivering the bad news at 2 a.m. in the morning. It's sad. It's really sad. Right now we're meeting with the students to find alternatives and activities for them to do on the weekend.
Basketball, there were tons of people playing basketball. Everybody
We have to involve the kids. If they're a part of the problem, they have to be a part of the solution. We're implementing strategies involving law enforcement to first prevent underage alcohol use.
The clerk asked you for your ID?
No, she didn't.
No, not at all.
Did you happen to get a name?
I can't believe she sold to us.
And then enforcement of the law when minors knowingly choose to use alcohol.
3 6-packs here.
In the beginning, we swept the entire county. 96 establishments, a sting operation where kids actually went in and bought booze. That's party stores, bars, grocery stores, everything. We had 33 violations, and last week we went out and only had 3 buys.
May I see your ID, please?
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the money for that.
No, I need to see your ID first.
Oh, okay. No problem.
In 8
Got some
hours,
right
we
here.
only had 3 buys.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but neither one of you are old enough.
Okay.
Thank you.
We didn't do very good. I don't know. I don't know if this is working. The kids are down, I'm down. We only got 3 tonight.
Well, hey, you got 3. Think about it. Last time you guys went out, you got 33, right?
Yeah.
This time you got 3. Does that tell you you've done your job? You know, you can see it's working, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, you've done a good job. That's great. Keep it up.
My boy's in sports and athletics. Just doesn't have time for that kind of stuff.
I learned about alcohol in DARE class, and I would never do anything to mess up the rest of my life.
Drinking can't be that bad. I mean, my parents let me drink at special occasions. Yeah, I mean, just the other day I had a drink at a wedding.
I'm now meeting with many groups, either community coalitions or school task force that have been set up within the school districts. You know, the schools have great SAP programs that form the right network to get the problem solved.
It really seems to be what works.
And together we can get out that zero tolerance message. That'll be great.
I'm sure we'll Through the coalition, we support a reality-based program called YATE, Youth Alcohol Traffic Education. The district and probate court staff go into the schools, the driver education classes, and present the reality and responsibility individuals have as soon as they slip behind the wheel of a motor vehicle. They are provided with the facts on traffic, accidents, and violations, including drinking and driving. Driving a motor vehicle is a privilege that can be revoked.
And now we're going to do some role playing. We're going to do a mock arrest. Raise your foot about 10 inches off the ground and count to 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, So, 4, 3, it's hard facts and tough times for users and abusers. 7, 8, 9, 10.
No, not Michael. He's too young.
Our boys wouldn't do that.
They don't even know what alcohol is. I don't think they'd ever think of doing that.
I'll never drink alcohol. Snuck a sip of Marco's beer once. Yuck.
Many elements of our program are working. I'd like to tell you about the MIP component.
The Minor in Possession program is very effective. It brings together the efforts of the courts and the Delta County Substance Abuse to focus responsibility on parents as well as the teenagers who constitute the problem of drinking and driving.
But it's almost impossible to change the attitudes of 11th and 12th graders. They've been drinking for years. We can deter some of their activities, stop them from driving, but they're still going to be going to the parties. Our coalition combines education, the community, and enforcement. The education component teams a civilian with a law officer.
Good morning, everybody. You ready for DARE class?
We presently have a strong DARE program. What we needed was to continue that prevention education in our middle schools. We initiated a school competition for students from 7th to 12th grade to design a logo, a recognizable symbol for our county-wide initiative. Our goal of the contest was to encourage youth as well as adult awareness and compliance of our county-wide mission of zero tolerance for underage drinking. The 5 finalists attended an award ceremony, and the winning design was selected.
And we're here this afternoon with the winners of the Zero Tolerance Logo Contest. Ben Durbin came in first place. Ben, tell me, how did you come up with the logo?
We've reached out to our local media, and they really delivered. The award ceremony was covered by 2 local newspapers, Channel 6, our local TV station, and radio WDBC. It was a real media event, all right.
They not drink until at least the age of 21. Reporting for TV6 News, I'm Polly Flinders.
Obviously, we can't financially compete with the liquor industry, who spend obscene amounts of money to advertise and sell their product. But local broadcasts by our TV and radio stations for our teen and parent PSAs has had a significant impact on reduction of alcohol-related traffic crashes and fatalities, youthful crime, spousal abuse in our community. It's a slow process. It can't be done overnight. You have to be patient. Target programs K through 12 may take years to evaluate.
You know, you can beat yourself to death on paperwork. This stat says this, that stat says that, but actually the end results, I guess you never know. But years later, someone will come up to you and thank you. For what? Well, you saved me. You're the one that made the difference.
I got some beers. Would you like them?
Sure. One person can make a difference.
No thanks, I've had one, but I could really go for us.
Our neighbors and community members begin to carry the message and change attitudes by rethinking letting teenagers drink.
The fact that we now have community groups that are willing to get up and do something, willing to fight the norm, willing to go out into the community and say, parents, we need you to help set a good example about alcohol.
No way. Safety's not going to allow a champagne glass for the prom.
Good point. No mixed messages about alcohol.
Are we making a difference? Well, last year at graduation time, I'm working one of the overtime details. I double up with this Ann Arbor officer. He says to me, hey, tonight we're gonna get them. I know right where these kids are hanging out, but it's outside the city. There's nothing I can do about it. But now we're partners. I'm the sheriff, we can go outside the city. So there we go. We head on out towards the river. He says, man, there's 5, 6, 7 cars. They're always parked right here. We're gonna get them. We're gonna tow their cars. We're gonna sneak up on them. We're gonna write them tickets. We got them. So off we go. We come around the corner and hot dog, there it is. There's 6, 7, maybe 8 cars parked there. So, boom, out of the sheriff's car we get. We tuck our keys in our pocket. We got our flashlights going. We don't turn them on. We don't want these kids to see us. We crawl through the woods. We're slipping in the mud. We're scraping our elbows on the rocks. But we ain't turning our lights on. We ain't giving away our position. Up the hill we go. We crawl through the woods. I got burrs in my socks. And bingo, there they are. We see a fire. There's a fire going. They got a boombox playing. There's about 8 kids around this fire. They don't see us. We're sneaking right up on them. We get closer. We get closer. Boom, we hit them with our flashlights. And there they are. We light up the area. We're right behind them. The girl turns to me and she says, it's you, it's you. I says, it's me. She says, yeah. You told me you guys would be here. You told me we had to do things different. Boom, hot dogs and Pepsis, man.
We had to do some changes, so here we are. We have Pepsis and hot dogs.
Hot dogs and Pepsis. Did we make a difference? Well, I'm telling you. I talked to my partner that night. He says, 25 years I've been a cop. I ain't never felt as good as we did when that girl turned to you. Well, that night, when I put my head on the pillow, I knew I'd made a difference. I knew the program was working.
Our towns and communities exist from generation to generation through common bonds of love and discipline, instilling values and a way of life inherent to our different regions.
The airways and highways deliver an alcohol use message that subtly pollutes young minds and slowly extinguishes their passion to obtain their potential and goals.
We've learned that one individual can make a difference. Set an example. Change an attitude. Save a life.
We are all at risk every day as we drive the highways shared by youth-impaired drivers as well as adults. And so is the future of our community and our very way of life.